Washington is busy welcoming back leaders of NATO as well as 4 Indo-Pacific partners. The 75th edition of the NATO summit has officially kicked off. We have our VOA correspondent Chris Casquejo standing by over in D.C. Welcome back, Chris.
Good to be with you.
Thanks for joining us. Tell us what the atmosphere is like at the moment over in D.C. I'm sure it's very busy.
Yeah, D.C. is bustling with activity. Lots of street closures and buses being rerouted due to the tight security at all of the event venues here in D.C. And it's causing massive headaches for the locals, with traffic being caused because heads of state are being transported from venue to venue. Now, D.C. is hosting this NATO convention because the founding treaty was signed here 75 years ago in 1949. U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden welcomed NATO leaders at an event to commemorate the 75th anniversary of NATO's founding at the Mellon Auditorium near the White House. And the Mellon Auditorium is where the North Atlantic Treaty, which was the basis for the creation of NATO, was signed on April 4th, 1949. Now, the 50th anniversary of NATO was also hosted here by U.S. President Bill Clinton in 1999.
Right, and like I mentioned, it's not just the NATO members. IP4 members, they are South Korea, Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. They've been invited once again. Let's talk about that.
Yes, and they've been invited because of Russia and China's deepening ties and North Korea supplying Russia with weapons, which are the main common concerns for the so-called Indo-Pacific Four. The leaders of New Zealand, Japan, and South Korea are attending this summit for the 3rd year in a row, while Australia has sent its deputy prime minister. NATO is set to deepen relations with its four Indo-Pacific partners, which aren't part of the military alliance, but they are gaining prominence in the effort to counter Russia and China as they forge closer ties. And the two Koreas, of course, support opposing sides of the conflict raging in Ukraine. The U.S. and South Korea accused Pyongyang of supplying Russia with ammunition, while Russian President Vladimir Putin visited North Korea last month and signed a pact with leader Kim Jong-un that envisions mutual military assistance. South Korea and Japan, meanwhile, are sending military supplies and aid to Ukraine. The U.S. also says China is providing Russia with machine tools, microelectronics, and other technology, so-called dual-use technology that will allow it to make weapons to use against Ukraine. Now, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol will bring to Washington a strong message regarding military cooperation between Russia and South Korea and discuss ways among the NATO alliance to enhance cooperation and its Indo-Pacific partners. His principal deputy national security advisor, Kim Tae-hyo, told reporters on Friday.
Right. So all the NATO members and IP4 members, they all share great security challenges around the globe. And on top of that, one of the main focuses at the meeting, of course, will have to be the Ukraine crisis, especially looking for ways to back the troubled country. The question is, how much aid is being considered this time?
Well, President Biden, in his remarks at the Mellon Auditorium, announced that NATO is providing Ukraine with additional strategic air defense systems, including additional Patriot batteries donated by the United States, Germany, and Romania. Also, Patriot components donated by the Netherlands and other partners to enable the operation of an additional Patriot battery, plus an additional SAMP-T system donated by Italy. Now, these 5 strategic air defense systems will help protect Ukrainian cities, civilians, and soldiers, and will be coordinating closely with the Ukrainian government so that they can utilize these systems rapidly. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a social media post on Tuesday, made it clear that air defense is still his country's key request as it tries to fend off the Russian aggression, and he has repeatedly asked for more Patriot systems, so it appears he's going to get his wish. These Patriot systems, he said, would help prevent Russian aircraft from flying close enough to drop glide bombs on civilians and critical infrastructure. For his part, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told VOA at a reporter roundtable that NATO plans to boost Ukraine's security through a 5-point plan, which includes financial commitments of 40 billion euros per year, a new NATO command based in Germany to coordinate forces, more direct weapons transfer, increased interoperability between Ukraine and NATO nations, and bilateral security agreements between NATO members and Ukraine. So we're going to have to see the specifics of that as the summit, takes place over the next couple of days.
Definitely, and then also stemming from Ukraine's much desperation to get aid from those countries. And the question is, though, will Ukraine be able to get what it has been wanting for such a long time, joining the NATO, the membership?
Yeah, it's unlikely that a formal invitation will come from the NATO 32-member alliance into this week. But a NATO senior official says that there are likely outcomes from the summit where we're going to see a path of bridged membership for Ukraine, where we'll see allies make long-term commitments to Ukraine. And he added that Ukraine should be on a path to being able to confidently mount counteroffensives in the not-too-distant future against Russia, but it's going to take some time to get there. But it should put them on the path to being able to begin to retake territory to actually push Russia's forces back.
Right, before I let you go, Chris, isn't this week a crucial week, especially for President Joe Biden? I mean, it is his first international event following his debate against Donald Trump last week.
Yeah, and, Biden's hoping to take advantage of being on the world stage as, there's so many international media members here. In addition to today's welcome to NATO leaders, Biden is giving a speech and holding a news conference on Thursday evening. This comes after Biden on Monday said he's staying in the presidential race amid a growing list of calls for him to step aside after that shaky debate performance last month against Donald Trump. He says all of the data shows that the average Democrat out there voted, 14 million of them voted for me, and they still want me to be the nominee. He said this in a phone call on the MSNBC show Morning Joe on Monday. And the White House refuted questions that NATO allies are concerned that these cracks at the leadership level in the United States could put the 75-year-old NATO alliance on shaky ground as it meets this week. Now, Rice University political scientist Richard Stoll told VOA in an interview that there are likely concerns among the leaders of the NATO member allies about Biden's fitness and whether he can serve another term. But while they may not love him, they certainly prefer him to Donald Trump, who has, said things about NATO members paying their fair share and encouraging Russia to do whatever the hell they want, quote, if NATO members didn't pay their bills. But so NATO members are likely cautious about Biden and not saying anything publicly that could undermine him because they don't want to be seen as interfering in U.S. politics or the U.S. domestic election here.
Right. Concerned, but taking a careful approach. All right, Chris, thanks always for your report.
Yeah, good to be with you.